Warning. Listening to this show may result in increased levels of inspiration, motivation, and innovation. Side effects can include the immediate urge to take massive action to build a better business and life for yourself and others. You've been warned. Welcome to Influencers Radio with your host, Jack Mize.
And welcome to another episode of Influencers Radio. Today, my guest, I'm going to talk about having it backwards. Most people think of that as a derogatory term, but my guest today has it backwards. And to me, really is one of the most revolutionary strategies and ideas that goes against conventional wisdom, but it absolutely makes sense. The more that I learned about what she is doing and how she is helping the people she helps, to me, this is something that, America, especially United States, has completely wrong in what we think a working day, a working week, a work ethic should be. And to me, my guest today redefines work ethic. My guest is Mary Bicknell. She helps successful women entrepreneurs, and business owners, corporate escapees that have decided that enough is enough, that their success didn't look like what they thought it would look like or what they wanted. What she does is she helps them to design the lifestyle that they truly want, then build their business to support it. And that's what I meant when I say she has it backwards. And we're going to go deeper into that. But the big thing that she really does is help women step out and really define and bring it out loud, their crazy big dream. And that's what I want to find out first of all. But first, I want to welcome to the show Mary Bicknell. How are you doing today, Mary?
Great, Jack. How are you? Life is good.
Oh, well, I'm telling you, thank you for coming on today. And I want to dive right into this. Crazy big dream. That just sounds good. It feels good coming off my tongue. Crazy big dream. Tell me what that means. Crazy big dream. What is that crazy big dream?
A crazy big dream is that thing that you have inside that you may never have told a single soul, but it pulls at you, it tugs at you, and you want it so badly. It's not just a little dream. It's a crazy big dream. The thing is, that's probably something that's so common to people, but they feel it's unique. Probably everyone that's listening right now probably has what you just described, that crazy big dream that they think, well, if I told anyone, they'd think I was crazy for wanting this. And so many people suppress that and go without pursuing that because they think it is that crazy big dream. But what you seem to bring out of people, and once you spell it out and you help them kind of get that down concrete, it's not so crazy after all. It's not. And it is, people hide that. People don't say it out loud because there's guilt associated with really wanting something that's so big, because that goes against the norm. That goes against Ellie Sue, your best friend, who says, just have a normal little life. And so a lot of times we're afraid to share what that crazy big dream is, what this pie in the sky, this huge thing that we want, that I believe that we really can make happen.
Well, I think one of the things that has definitely been demonstrated and is proof positive is over the last, half century. You think about the difference in the roles and the expanded capabilities. I mean, a lot of people thought a crazy big dream in the 50s was for a woman to be the CEO of a company, or for a woman to even be a director or a manager of a company. And so crazy doesn't seem that crazy when you look at it from that perspective. But the one part that just really struck me is, one of the core foundations that you have, and almost one of the requirements that you have when you work with a lot of the people that you work with, your clients, is that they build their business, support their lifestyle. So many people, when they have that entrepreneurial bug, when they go to that entrepreneurial pursuit, They give everything from their time, their money. They sacrifice relationships. They sacrifice health because they think that's just what it takes to be successful. I'm going to sacrifice. I'm going to do what it takes. But the way that you do it is time out. That's not the way that it has to be done. In fact, it's not the way it should be done. Instead of, building this business and trying to enjoy the little time that you have left over, you approach it as, let's build the lifestyle. What is the reason that you want to have the success in life? And what is the lifestyle that you want? And then let's build the business in order to support that. Talk about that, because that really is backwards from the conventional wisdom, the traditional thinking when someone goes to pursue an entrepreneurial lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of people, they start their business because they think that it's going to give them freedom. And because they're so programmed that you just have to work, what's the point? It's like, you've bought yourself a job. And so my perspective is always starting with my clients, like, what is that crazy big dream and what does that look like in your lifestyle? That's always first. Like, what is your day to day? What does that look like? What does your week look like? What does your year look like? So for example, working 3 days a week, being able to be in your kid's classroom, having off on Friday, taking quarterly vacations, and just the idea of not to have to talk to anyone about it, get permission to go to the bathroom and go on vacation. I mean, so it's about you deciding that you are going to live your life first. Because today we live in a world that we can build businesses to support our lifestyle. There are business structures. We can have support staff, all of those things that take care of all those little gnat type of business things while you're doing the thing that you really want to do in your business. And you don't need to be working 50, 80, 90, 100 hours building a business anymore. It just doesn't make sense to do that.
It's interesting you talk about that people know from the outset when they go to start a business, the lifestyle is really what they want. And, and that's what a lot of people, they enter that thinking that I'm going to do this for the lifestyle, but they always feel that that's a commitment that you make. It's a delayed gratification that that's what I want, but I'm going to bury myself into this up front because that's what it takes in order to, achieve that lifestyle that I want. And the problem is they think this lifestyle is what I'm going to achieve someday when I do this, but oftentimes that someday never happens. And
yes.
But that's what people that's the mindset that people have. That's what they think is necessary. And your approach of no, someday is today. Let's build the business from the get-go to support that. That's something that I bet a lot of people probably have, as much as they want that, they probably have some obstacles, even perceived that how is that possible, including myself. So, what are some of the things in order for somebody to say, okay, I'm going to start this business, but you know what? I'm only going to work 3 days a week. There's some people that say, well, that's just not realistic. How do you work around that?
It really, it comes down to how we're programmed, all of that mindset, because, it does sound like sometimes when you say gosh, 3 days a week and earn 6 figures, somehow that sounds wrong, like you're doing something wrong or illegal or something. That just can't be. And it is because, the way we're raised and the people that are surrounding us, they have such great influence on us. And, the reality is sometimes being an entrepreneur and stepping out and claiming and owning your crazy big dream, sometimes that feels lonely because not everybody around you is doing it. Sally Sue, your best friend, like I said, she's not necessarily your champion and cheerleader. And so what has to happen, one of the first things that I do with clients is examine that and really get clear on what are some of your patterns of behavior? What are some of your thoughts around this? What have you done historically? What's your family done? If your family, you come from a family that's, working 9 to 5, and there's never been an entrepreneur in your family, guess what? It's going to be a little bit of a challenge. So you need to have that information and to be conscious of it. And then once you're conscious of it, it's looking at like, what's triggering that to make me fall back into that guilt of, just wanting to even work 3 days a week.
And how much of that is just predefining that, no, that's all I'm going to allow myself to work? Because, as you described this to me and as we talk more and I learn deeper, I think, well, I guess it doesn't sound that off because, realistically, I've only been given 5 days to work, or some people they give themselves 7 days. Because there are no more. And they're limited to, I'm just going to work these 5 days or I'm just going to work these 7 days. And because that's just the norm or that's what they've been given, they said that. But so you're saying kind of like create a new normal.
Create your new normal is the thing. So if it's 3 days a week, great. If it's 4 days a week, great. If it's working 3 weeks and then taking a week off, it's really about what is the individual person want? Like, what does that look like? What does your perfect day look like? What does your perfect week look like if you could release all your restrictions? And the reality is, let's get real. How many people work, quote, a normal 40-hour work week, and they're just sitting around maybe not doing anything, like for a couple hours during the day, but they're expected to be there. Well, when you're an entrepreneur, when you own your own business and you want to decide that you just want to work a certain number of hours, then that's really concentrated and focused energy because your reward, so to speak, is, I'm off at 3. I'm off at 3. I work at like 9 to 3, 3 days of work. I'm off at 3. So I'm more invested and excited. That's the thing. It's exciting to design your lifestyle and then put that work in because, I'm getting my work done and boom, I'm off at 3 o'clock. I'm picking up my child. How good is that? So it's very different as far as your motivation as well. Once you allow yourself to think like that and actually realize that you can build this business, your business to support that, it's a game changer. It's a light switch for people. When we break it down and say, okay, here's 3 days a week. This is what you want for your time off. Now, what do we need to do on a daily basis in your business, those 3 days or 4 days or whatever, to support that so that when you're getting off at 3 o'clock or whatever time you choose, you're like skipping out of the door. You're excited to get up in the morning because the work that you're doing is fulfilling, of course, to all your clients and everything, but it's fulfilling that crazy big dream that it is pulling you out of bed. It is exciting. It's not a drudgery. And instead of, I've got to just work, and then one day I can take some time off. That just is, to me, that's so archaic.
Well, you bring up an important point that I want to make sure that we spotlight here is because you said something about, work that's fulfilling. And obviously when people think about, well, how can I trim this down? How can I just work 3 days a week? And one of the things obviously to do is to remove or eliminate or outsource or do something of the parts that aren't fulfilling. And a lot of the things that the people get caught up in with the tedious work that they think has to be done. And so one of the things that I think is really exciting and powerful about what you do is you also create a lifestyle where they enjoy their lifestyle, but also the work that they do is when they wake up, it's something that they get to do. It's not something that they have to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important distinction because so many people do think of that is if I only work 3 days a week, that must mean I'm not, that work is something I have to do and lifestyle is something I get to do. But the way that you do it, the work is also something you get to do. You're just enjoying it in two different ways. What is that process of making the things that you actually do during those 3 days or whatever you define seem like something you get to do rather than something you have to do?
Well, back to the point of outsourcing, I mean, that's part of it. I only do the things I love to do in my business. That's one of those things when I have new clients and we're looking at their lifestyle and like, what do you want to do in your business? And there's other people that love to do the stuff that you hate to do. Guess what? not just in my business, but in your personal life. Like, guess what? I don't love cleaning my house, so I have somebody cleaning my house. So why not have people support that? There's nothing sexy anymore about I'm so busy. I'm so busy, I work all the time, and then I've got to do that. There's nothing that's exciting about that. And so when you change your mindset about allowing yourself, if you will, to actually hire someone to do some of those, what you may consider tedious things, the energy that you have to give to your business, to the things that's actually going to make you money is so different. And that is when clients have that breakthrough and they have that, oh my God, aha, they think, I wish I would have done this a long time ago.
The one thing that you said there that really jumped out is when you talk about how, what used to be almost an attribute is I'm so busy, right? That almost used to be worn as it's a badge of honor.
Yeah.
I'm so busy. I'm multitasking. I'll sleep when I die. I'm a mover and a shaker. And now that people realize, wow, that's not really as fun as it sounds. Mm-hmm. But then now there's also the opposite end of the spectrum where people that do achieve this, and let me know if you have seen this, that when people do achieve this 3-day work week and they say, wow, this is finally happening, the element of guilt that might creep in that, are other people thinking that, oh, that's not right. Working only 3 days a week, you're lazy, or that's not, the proper way to do it. Cause you mentioned that, when you're talking about the crazy big dream, that there's this guilt. Is there a little bit of guilt that people have to do even after they succeed at achieving this lifestyle and business that fits their lifestyle? An element of guilt that they've achieved this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is for a little while, and then once they prove it to themselves and they own it, then they can release the worry and the judgment of others. The guilt is associated with what others' opinions are, right? And so with my clients and with myself, it's always being on the edge of my own evolution. And, that edge and being right there, like I said, sometimes that's a lonely place unless you're surrounding yourself with other people who have that similar desire and crazy big dream. But that's a work in progress, releasing that guilt. That's a work in progress, saying, I recognize this is my life, and I'm so glad that I've created this lifestyle that I get to be around my children. Like, what's worse? Feeling guilty that you're being, working 60 hours a week for someone else, or even setting up your business where you're in it so deeply that you're not doing anything for your kids, or you're so exhausted that you don't have any energy left. Like, that guilt to me far outweighs the guilt of thinking like, oh God, should I really be doing this 3-day-a-week thing? How did I make that happen?
Yeah, well, that is the one thing that I think, well, I guess that's a high class problem. I guess you could define that as, if that's your problem, is you feel you have to eliminate the guilt after you've succeeded at this lifestyle, then that's probably a good problem to have. But it is, because I know there's some people that, when they hire that person to, clean their house, or they hire that person to do it, the first thing they say, oh, you're lazy, you could do that yourself.
God.
And what you're doing is not necessarily, you're not lazy, you're freeing up time to build a business that's going to support your ability to have that, right?
Yes, and you have to examine the time that you invest in one activity takes away from another activity, right? So if I hire my housekeeper for $100 a week, and it takes her 4 hours, and it takes me 4 hours. I mean, that's $25 an hour. I'm making way more than $25 an hour. So we don't look at it that way. So that's one way to look at it. But it's also like, if you're working and you're so deep in your business, and then, God, on Saturday, it's like, that's the day I have to run all my errands and clean the house and do the yard and everything. Like, what's the value there? I mean, what are you getting from that? That doesn't make any sense to me anymore, and it doesn't for my clients. Like, why not be excited that you've built a business and you're actually able to hire other people, and, that ripple effect that goes out into the world, that whole circulation of money. Like, boom, you had the housekeeper, you've got the yard guy, and guess what? They're happy. And now you're happy because you're spending time doing some things that you want to do that are part of your big, crazy dream.
Well, that's one of the things, I know you tell your clients that you can give them a 3-ring binder on how to build a business, but it's the mindset that is really the thing that most are in need of. And I know that you have this process that you go through with people that you talked about, and we talked about a little bit about the patterns, of what their real thoughts are about money. Talk a little bit about that, because to me, it is. People think they want a 3-ring binder of step 1, step 2, step 3, but it actually could be much simpler than that, it seems, if they start thinking about their business and money that supports the lifestyle that they want. So what is that exercise that you go through to dig that information up?
Yeah, so I had them go through and write down 25 of their beliefs around money. And I really tell them you have to get all the way to 25. It's not 20 and that you stop. It's that you have to push your way through. Like, what are some of your thoughts around money? And so some of my thoughts were, at one time, you think money grows on trees, or, money only comes through men. Or you can never make more than $50,000 a year. So what are those beliefs that you have? And then it's looking at, people in your family, like, what were your mother's beliefs that she told you? What are your father's beliefs? What is society telling you? And really looking at those, and then writing all those things down from, your mom, your dad, et cetera, and then kind of comparing that list to your current limiting beliefs around money. And once you have that aha to say, oh my God, that comes from my mother, that comes from society, that comes from my church or whatever, you're able to step back and say, I choose not to have that as my belief anymore, and you can actually rewrite that. And you have to reflect back on that, because you're programmed for decades, right? We're programmed for decades, and so it's a constant thing to be aware of. So once you have that down, then you can get to the point where you realize maybe you're triggered, that you fall back into a mindset. For example, back to that a little feeling of guilt. It's the holiday season and you're going to go to see, Aunt Betty or whatever, and you have to you might be triggered. You realize, I'm triggered when I go there to defend myself for what I want, defend this building of the business. So before you even go in, you need to just get real with yourself, get aware, this is what I want. I have this crazy big dream. I'm building this lifestyle. I'm building my business to support it. And this matters to me, so that when you walk in that door and you're surrounded by these people that trigger all your old stuff coming up, you're conscious of it. And so this is, it's just also about doing the work that comes with it. Again, it's about being a pioneer, being on the edge of your own evolution. This is something that you have to be dedicated to.
Well, I think you're definitely a pioneer in this thinking, and I feel you're an influencer with being able to open this up and unfold this for a lot of folks that just didn't think that this was a possibility when they take on that entrepreneurial dream. How can they find out more about what you are doing and what you're up to with this this crazy big dream, letting it out?
They can go right to my website, marybicknell.com, and there'll be all kinds of blog posts and downloads and all kinds of good free information that you can get.
Fantastic. Mary Bicknell, I want to thank you so much for coming on to Influencers Radio today and sharing this. I think this is going to be a real mind opener for a lot of people that are struggling with what I call the entrepreneur's curse. And it really, does, show and prove that it's possible to build your business around your lifestyle versus just accepting what's left over to once you built the business that you think is what it should look like. So thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you, Jack.
All right, folks, there you have it. Definitely check it out, marybicknell.com. We'll have the link right there with the show post. And, this really is going to be so powerful for a lot of people, just changing the way that you think that things have to be done, and realize that there is another way, that there is a better way. So until next time on Influencers Radio, remember, you are the only real game changer.
You've been listening to Influencers Radio. To get all past shows and updates on future shows, visit influencersradio.com today or follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/influencersradio.